Alright, hello everyone. This is Mohammed Ahman Khadri over here, and today we're going to see an overview of my project, the Stickman game that we deploy on Netflix. You can check it out on my GitHub as well. Now, so the basic CodePen version of the open source. Let me just show you to you. This is, I hope you can see the screen. This is the CodePen version of the game, and let me just run real quick. So as you can see, the screen keeps on moving in such a manner that the hero is centered along the center towards a bit to the left, and the score keeps on moving up. And if you hit the exact center, the score actually doubles up. Now, this is pretty cool game, pretty okayish, but there are a couple of problems that I found in this open source, which I obviously fixed in my code over here. Now, let us just go through the uh, the game first before going over to the code. Now, I added some kind of themes over here, and there's the general first mode with the day mode, and there's night, which I added over here, night mode. There's spring mode, and one of my favorites. We have another one called as the ocean mode, and obviously you can change the cap color of your hero according to blue or green, which changes accordingly. Now let's go into spring mode. As you can see, the particular leaves over here and so on. I added a particular high score which is stored inside a local storage for people to actually interact more with the game, have a particular kind of challenge, when they come, they want to beat the high score and so on. This over here is the general score, and let's just start the game. Audio files as well to make the game more lively in nature. Oh, my bad. Alright, let's keep moving on. As you can hear the background sound as well, and as well as the walking sound when he moves on the stick. Now, for example, if I just let me just beat the high score. Alright, so now I beat the high score by 2 points, and let me just fall down over here. Right, so background music stops, and you kind of have that falling scream over here. And when you restart, you get back onto your home page, and obviously these modes are now enabled. Now let's just go with the code what I did over here. Now the majority of the HTML was given up. All I added was this part, which is the drop downs and the start button as well. The start button was necessary in order to actually have a click event. The initial code that was given to us just accepted any click event that was happening anywhere on the screen. I did not want that to happen because the user should be able to choose between modes and the cap colors. So we had to initialize the start button. Now moving in, these two are the drop downs over here inside your HTML. Other than that, there's nothing much more over there. CSS is provided by the code source majority, and I obviously added some kind of hover effects over the start button, and also some kind of font weight and family over there in order to make it look much more cooler than it was, like that. And other than that, I added the media screen for mobile as well as tablet versions, so that the user can play it in any screen they want. It's responsive, and the user can play it on any screen. Now, moving on to the JavaScript part, that is the main logic over here. Now, the first thing you see over here are three audio files, which is present inside my sounds folder. Now, I used Hover.js. It's an open source library that allows us to easily plug in your audio files. So I used Hover.js to actually get these inside over here. Now we have a bit of initials over here, and moving forward, you have the high score stuff. So what I did is basically put a high score inside my local storage so that it stays it's safe inside your website, and cannot be changed. Basically, when you beat the high score. Initially, it is obviously made 0, and basically, when your score is within the high score, you just keep updating it, and then you reset it back to a particular value that is your score. Now, moving ahead, this is added just because I thought you need more challenge over there. You have to beat a particular high score. I guess this was more challenging, and then I put it there. Moving forward, This was originally given to me by CodePen source, and what it says is basically a set of initials that you need inside of it. More initials I use DOM manipulation in over here to get these from my HTML page. Moving forward, more initials. Now the main part of the themes. Now, as you can see on my page, there are about 4 themes. The initial default mode was the day mode. Other than that, I added 3 more modes, that is the night, spring, and the ocean mode. Let's just see what I'm doing over there. Now, whenever there is an event change on that drop-down function, if it's night, then we're moving on to night function, enabling and disabling it. And similarly for the spring, similar and same thing for ocean mode as well. And inside my night mode, what we're doing is we're enabling a particular global variable as true and then going inside draw. Now there's more to these themes than just this. The main function is below. We'll get to that shortly. Moving further ahead, there's the reset game button, which basically disables your background soundtrack and then uh, basically initializes everything back to its original value or initial value, you can say, except the high score, obviously. And then at any particular instance, I want at least 10 trees in the background. So there are 10 trees. As you can see, there are 10 trees present inside the background. Some are hidden behind these platforms, but at any given instance, there are about 10 trees behind in any screen, except the ocean mode because it does not have trees. Moving forward, we have the generate tree function over here, which basically gives us the minimum and the maximum gap between them, and it basically pushes the amount of trees with their gaps accordingly. So you don't want the trees to have a minimal gap, or for example, you don't want them to keep repeating that amount of distance between them. You want them to be random amount of distances. Now moving forward, we need the platforms as well with the minimum and a maximum gap. And over here we have 2 more variables, the maximum and minimum width, that come along, which makes the game more with the platform more easier to access or harder to access as well. So this part does that, similar to what we have for trees, but 2 more variables, the maximum and minimum width. Moving forward, we have the start button functionality over here. What you're doing here is basically getting our 3 things: the theme select, the cap selection drop down, and the start button. So whenever the start button is clicked, we are disabling these 2 drop downs. And obviously we're playing the background music and preventing anything default going on inside the browser. Now comes the fun part, the conditions. So what conditions over here? Now the first 3 conditions you see, first 4 I guess, yeah, first 4 were given to me by the CodePen source, which basically says that this is the first default action of key down. If it's nothing, we're just resetting the game over here. If it's a mouse down, we're going in the initial starting position, that is the waiting part. And from waiting, we're moving on to stretching. We do that on a mouse down, as you can. Let me just show you that. There's this CodePen. Now it basically says us to hold down mouse stick to stretch out a stick, right? So when I click it, it stretches out, and when I leave the mouse button, it basically gets back into the waiting state. Basically moves on to other states. So it was in the waiting state when I push down a particular button, it moves on to stretching phase. And we're going into the animation part, which is further down below. We'll get back to that. Similarly, we are moving from stretching to turning and then resizing of the stick. Now, moving further, these are the 2 things that I added personally. Why did I add them? Because this particular code, these 4 conditions were not so suitable for our mobile or tablet screens where we do not have a particular mouse, where we don't have a mouse connected or a particular mouse pad. So what is happening is basically it was actually accessing a particular text over here on our frames, and it was not able to start the game. So instead, I just added these 2 over here, which was touch start functionality, which goes from waiting to stretching state, and similarly stretching to turning. Removing basically it just tells the browser to start. This tells us to start, and this tells it to stop when you move your finger off the screen of your mobile phones. If you just, for example, if I have my website opened up on a particular mobile screen, alright? So when I click start, I have only my screen. So when I touch the mobile screen, this function is being called because the touch start functionality is being called. So this it basically starts it. The same thing when you are pushing the start button, right? This phase is being run. Removing the stretching state, and basically when you release your finger off the phone, you stop the stretching phase and moving on to turning state of the stick. That is what's happening. Let me just stop this. So that is what is happening over here. And moving on further ahead, some more initializations over here. Yeah, we're going to the main loop of the functionality of the game. Let's go into the animation. So if the last time is not there, we're just returning that a particular error has occurred. In any instance of the game, there has to be a particular last time. For example, initially we are in the waiting stage, right? We're moving either to stretching or transitioning or falling or any other state. So if you don't have a last time stamp, that means some kind of error occurred and just returning nothing out of the loop. Now, particular switch phase. Now we are for the waiting state. What are you going to do if you're in the waiting state? You just stay there. You just stop the loop here in the waiting state. Now when you do this, for example, you're on a mobile phone and from waiting stage, you touch the mobile screen and you moved on to stretching stage. And then it comes back over in this position and inside the stretching case functionality. And what you're doing over here is basically increasing the length of the stick until a particular limit until the user removes his finger or basically removes the click on his mouse. You can say that, and then moves on to turning stage. What turning does is basically it ensures that the stick, whenever it falls down, no matter if it touches the platform or not, is over the size or less than the size, it remains at a particular 90-degree angle, and that is what we're doing over in this part. Now there is something called as a perfect hit. What is perfect hit, you ask? You see this red blocks over here. If the end of the stick exactly hits this perfect spot, you get double the score. For example, it was one, and you get now two scores. Basically, you increase your points over here, and that is what this part of the code does. This part of the code does. Now, what we're doing after that is basically generating a platform. After you reach the next one, you're generating more platforms with more two trees for the trees that are pen by. So the screen basically moves a bit according to the hero, right? So the trees and the trees that have gone, we are creating more two trees for them, and new platforms keep coming in the picture. Now moving on, and it's inside now walking state. And what is walking state? It's basically walking on the stick, simple as that. And I just played my soundtrack over here for the walking part, and yeah. So, for example, there are two cases over here in which the hero actually reaches the exact edge of your the stick exactly falls on the edge, and the hero does not have to move until the edge. Yeah. So, and there's another part where the stick exactly hits the start of your platform. So you have to move that hero until the very end of that platform so that you can begin your next stretching state from the edge of the platform, from this very edge of the platform. So your stick came in here and set to your right. So you have to make the hero move all the way until this part. So that is what this part of the code does. Moving on to transitioning state, what does transitioning state mean? It basically means that it's a state before waiting. So it's before waiting, and what it does is basically stops your so it moves into waiting state, right? So when you're moving onto the particular edge, for example, your stick falls onto the spot, you have to move your hero up to the very edge. That's what we just agreed, right? So that is being done by your transitioning state, or for example, your stick went all the way there and set off in the middle over here. You still have to move the hero all the way up till the very end and stop it. So until those two cases are done, you're inside the transitioning case. Now, obviously, if you're inside the falling stage, when do you go inside falling? If you have a smaller stick or a larger stick in the platform length, You go inside the following state where we stop our background soundtrack and the following soundtrack is being played. And obviously the stick is moved. The stick is moved 180 degrees. Let me just show you. Let me just demonstrate that. For example, if I have this, the stick moves 180 degrees down. That means plus 90 degrees up to what it was. So to have that, we actually have this part of code which runs, which is basically all of that code. The main loop was given to me by CodePen itself. I just explained it to you. Now, all of this was also given by CodePen, which is just stating that the platform hit sticks. The platform, the stick hits, right? So basically, after it performs this, accepts this condition only, the platform actually uh, returns the true values back to your animation point, back to where it actually judges if the platform actually hits, if the stick actually hits our platform, or else it returns false. Alright, let's move on to draw part. The CTX is our basic 2D canvas that we have over here, and we are drawing the particular background that is the theme we have over here. And moving on, we draw the sticks, the hero, as well as platforms, and then restore. Here we have our restart button functionality that just resets goes into reset game. We initialize everything back to initial position except the high score, and the start button. Basically, what it does is displays the start button goes into a display none state, and when default, and we just play our initial music, background music. Moving further ahead, we have the draw platforms, which basically just uh, draws these platforms, these black platforms for us inside a canvas, right? So we have particular logic given us. This was also given by CodePen, and we have yeah. Let's move on to the draw hero part. Similar to what we've seen above, we have its body, its legs, and its cap that was given to us, but I did some additional stuff inside the cap as we can change its color from red, blue, and green. Right, so I have a particular switch case that moves on, that takes that accepts the current cap color from the drop down and moves into red, blue, or green switch cases. If it does, they're moving into their particular functionalities where we're changing the color to red, similarly to blue, and so on for green. So moving further ahead, we have a particular rectangle. I guess this even helps in building our platform. This function over here builds up our platform. Draw sticks helps us in drawing the particular black stick upwards in 90-degree direction. That's what we're doing in this part. Drawing the background, yeah. This additionally helps us in our themes now. Now we have four themes, right? The day mode, night mode, spring mode, and your uh, ocean mode. Yeah, so the night mode we're doing is we are basically drawing a moon, which is also defined down, and we're changing the color of the hills and the trees. As you can see over here, let me just reload that right there. You can see the moon, you can see the change in colors. That is what this part is doing. Now, my personal favorite theme is your spring mode. Why personal favorite, you ask? Because we're changing the general colors over here, and we're every time when this spring mode is true, right? We're calling out a for loop, which basically throws leaf in random positions. So what it does, you see these leaves, they're in random positions. So when I start the game and I'm in a waiting position, they don't move. But when I'm moving, when I'm walking or doing anything other than waiting, these leaves are moving. I guess you can see that. I believe you can see that. The leaves are moving and it actually looks really, really cool. It looks like the website is actually live and you're in a complete different dimension, I guess. It's really cool. So I'll just go over here. So this team was really favored, and this follow-up was really kinky to actually develop, you can say. Now the ocean mode similarly has a particular sun and different colors over here. And if it does not go into this if else statement or the if condition, it just means that you're inside your default day mode colors. Moving further down, you have another selection of color cap which is used in our above statements to select our color from either red, blue, or green. Moving on further ahead, we have a draw leaf functionality which helps us in our spring mode, as you just said. The draw sun is helping us to create a particular sun inside our ocean mode. Similarly, I guess we have a draw moon down here. Yeah, draw moon over here. We have a start game functionality, which basically initializes us to a waiting state. Add some more initializations, and we move on to animation. That is what start game functionality does. And some more functions over here: get table y, get tree y, to get the animations correct. And the crown is basically this small crown over here that we see, whose colors we're changing inside the change gap. So yeah, that's all about code. There is the changes that I made were really pretty simple and clear. I made four modes over here, which basically feels really right. Three cap colors over here, and cool soundtracks using Howler.js. Really makes the game feel lively. Really looks very great. You can keep playing. I just as I was playing, as I was just creating this, I was playing so many times. And the best part is your high score. You have to just aim to beat that high score, which stays in your local storage. So anyone who's accessing the website can actually see the high score you or anyone else have made to beat it as a challenge. So yeah, these are the changes I made. I even wanted to add some kind of GIF animations over here, but they didn't go along with the background, so I guess I didn't add them. But overall, it actually really looks clean, moderate, and you can play this on any responsive. As it's responsive, you can play it on any screen that is. So yeah, that's the explanation for my code. Thank you. Thank you.